We're starting Ezra's Hashem Siman Samach in Vayoel Moshe. And again, we're having a problem with the contradiction between the Yerushalmi that says that you can build the Beis HaMikdash before Mashiach, and the Medrash in Parshas Toldos, which also says that they almost did it against the Bavli, and particularly Tosfos Yantiv himself, who quotes this Yerushalmi and explains it himself in other places, says that you can't do it. So what's the answer? So he says, V'nir bozeh, dehinei lashon ha-Tosfos Yantiv b'perek Kei Diyuma. What we're going to answer is that the Tosfos Yantiv in the 5th parak of Yuma says, the Binyan Yechezkel, the future Beis HaMikdash that's described in the Sefer Yechezkel, the Lasid, Loi Pirish al Pi Chazal. He says that Chazal don't explain it to us how to build that Beis HaMikdash. They don't explain those psukim to us. And that's why we can't do it.
So that means that there are very little mefarshim on the Pirish and Yechezkel on how it's built?
Right, the exact details they don't explain. In the Chazal, they're mefarshim, there's Rashi, Radak, whatever, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Chazal, who actually say on the Soira how it's built.
Right.
Umashma mizeh, it seems from this that Shechazal loy pirshu lo niresa ksuvim should be Yechezkel. The Chazal didn't explain to us these psukim. V'yuchal liyoy shehema yadu v'lamdu. So he says like this. It's not pshat the Chazal didn't know. He's saying Chazal knew it, but they didn't explain it. That's what he wants to say now. Chazal knew it, but they didn't tell us. So they knew. Hema yadu v'lamdu. They knew and they learned it up. The hevinu as kol tzuras habayis. They understood the meaning of the description of the Beis HaMikdash. Shebeksuvim Yechezkel. El kiven shehichriu acher kach. But at a certain point in history, Chazal decided not to build the Beis HaMikdash before Mashiach. Right? Shkiven shehichriu acher kach. They decided she'ein binyan Beis HaMikdash terem bias Eliyahu Mashiach. Ukamash shekasav b'shaylat shuvas binyan tzion. There's a famous tshuva of the Aruch Laner, was the Rav in Germany, and Rabbi Yaakov Ettlinger. He wrote Shayla Shuvas Binyan Tzion, and in reaction to Rav Hirsch Kalisher and other people who wanted to build the Beis HaMikdash,
what was it called, the book?
The Shayla Shuvas Binyan Tzion. Aruch Laner is his pierce on Shas. So anyway, Shayla Shuvas Binyan Tzion, he talks about this question. He says you can't build the Beis HaMikdash, you can't even bring karbanos nowadays. He says, "Gam le'inyan hakravas karbanos, even just to bring karbanos without a Beis HaMikdash, bisman hazeh, ve'hevi rayas sha'al zeh nemar v'lo yariach b'reach b'choichachem." That the Aruch Laner brings that the pasuk says, "I will not smell the smell of your karbanos." Pasuk in b'chukoisai. So Hashem is saying basically, after the korban, I don't want your karbanos. So that's his raya that you can't bring karbanos bisman zeh. And you can't build the Beis HaMikdash. So, for the same reason, that's why Chazal decided after a certain point, we're going to get to exactly when that point was, they decided not to build the Beis HaMikdash now. So, that's why when they made the Mishnah, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi put together the Mishnah, and when Rav Ashi and Ravina put together the Gemara, they did not explain Pirish Divrei Aksubim should be Yechezkel B'zeh. They did not explain the words of Yechezkel in this matter. There's no Masechta about it. There's Masechta Midas discusses how the second Beis HaMikdash looked, but there's no Masechta discussing how the third Beis HaMikdash is going to look. Uve'emes kol mitzvah mitzvah shebeTorah. All the mitzvahs in the Torah shebekrai loy havi yadim me'uma be'ezeh oifim la'asoisa. We would not know how to do them. Ilu loy hayu mevarim Chazal. Pirish v'dinei mitzvah, if Chazal wouldn't explain it. Therefore, the efshe shebishvil kach hinichu. So why did they leave this out for? This is one of the mitzvahs, isn't it? They left it out milavaroi. They didn't explain it. Shaloyiyeh bezdin toim, that no bezdin should come along at some time in the future and make a mistake. Uliv noisai koyem bias hamashiach, and say, okay, you know what? We have a masechta about bayis shlishi.
But they did talk about karbanos, though. They did talk about
yeah. Okay, but that's harmless, because once you don't have a Beis HaMikdash, you're not going to bring the karbanos unless you do without a Beis HaMikdash. That's not an interesting.
Well, we find that Bavli left out Zroyim except for brachas because it wasn't practical in Bavel. We find.
Yeah,
but Bavli didn't go too much into Zroyim.
I don't know if that's the pshat. It could be because those halachas are explained throughout the Talmud Bavli. In other words, other mesechtas.
Because Yerushalmi goes through the whole Zroyim.
It's true, but the way the Bavli did it was that instead of going directly on the Masechtas, there's material all over Shas about those Masechtas.
I see.
But on the Beis HaMikdash HaShlishi, there's nothing. So that's why he's saying, because we don't want any Bezdin to come along and think that you could build it. Since we don't know how to build it, There's no way that it's going to happen until then, until Mashiach comes. So now we're going to explain all the sources with this, because Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanani's story was talking before that decision was reached. They still knew how to build it. So that's, and Bar Kokhba also, you could say, they also still knew how to build it. But at a certain point around the time of, let's say, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, when they wrote the Mishnah, that's when they decided you can't build it. So therefore, that the Yerushalmi says in Ma'aser Sheni that it's possible to build it, that's talking before. The Yerushalmi is explaining a Mishnah. Meheira Yibana Beis HaMikdash, and the Takana will go back to its force, right? That's before the decision was reached. Once the decision was reached, it's not Nogei anymore. That's why the Gemara in Yuma says that when the Beis HaMikdash is built, you'll have Moshe and Aaron. Okay? That's going to be the answer. That we can answer the question. She'efshar should be made Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanani in the time of Rabbi Yeshua ben Hanani Adayin Hayu Yoidim. They still knew it. Adayin Hayu Yoidim. They still learned it. V'Yoidim Apirsha b'Nevuas Yechezkel. They knew what Yechezkel meant. They hadn't yet reached that decision. She'ein livnois Beis HaMikdash terem Beis HaMashiach. That you're not going to build it before Mashiach. Ki be'emes hi pluktis hatanoim. Because it's a machlokes tanoim kasher yispar oid. We're going to see later what that means. Umasha kasav Rambam she'iyav shel livnois vehechlit hatois v'syantiv l'davar yadua. The Rambam says, that you can't build it, and the Tois v'syantiv also says l'davar yadua in his Pirush on Yuma that he quoted at the beginning of Siman Nun Ches, right? Tois v'syantiv says that it's l'davar yadua she'kshibana beis mikdash kvar boil y'all are already going to be here at that time. V'chein hu achlatas hatois v'seches psachim. Tois v'psachim also says that. Kol zehi achar chasimus Talmud. That's all talking after the Gemara was finished. She'ani roim shalai biru apirish halachazu. We understand, we see that the Chazal didn't explain how to build it, so, and why? Because they held that you can't build it.
Because by Yerushalmi and the Midrash, it wasn't yet clear. They weren't the final, psakim written.
Right, they were written before.
But the Bavli, which were compiled by Ravina and Ravashi, that they were the final Amarayim, and that's why after them, the final psak was made.
So that's why it's known. That's why the Tosfos Yisrael says the lashon hadavar yadua. It's known that we can't build it. We understand why in Ma'aser Sheni the Tosfos Yisrael doesn't say like that. Why? Shesham maybe the Tosfos Yisrael divrei Yerushalmi shapirish divrei Rabbi Yosi. The Yerushalmi explains Rabbi Yosi shesoiver binyan beis hamikdash kodim l'malchus beis David. That he says that before Mashiach Beis HaMikdash could be built, because in that time they still knew how to build it, right? Yeah. The time of Rabbi Yosi they still knew how to build it. So there was a possibility that it could be that they'll build it in a door that doesn't have any greater people than people like Rabbi Yosi. But in the fifth parak of Yuma, the Mayri mipsak halacha she'achar Talmud. There, the Tosfos Yisrael is discussing what's the halacha nowadays. So loy kasav came. That's why he doesn't say that. The ein bozestir. It's not a contradiction. The nicha gam came mashe hishmid Rambam. Now we know the answer to the kasha from the beginning of Siman Nun Tes. That why did the Rambam leave out oisei atnai, the tnai in the Mishnah Ma'aser Sheni, that when the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, then we'll have to bring up the Kerem Rabbi from a day's journey. Why doesn't the Rambam bring that? Even according to Tosfos Yisrael that he did paskin like Rabbi Yosi, he has a question why, but Lamaisa the Rambam paskin like Rabbi Yosi. So the question is, if you paskin like Rabbi Yosi, you have to say that okay, when the Beis HaMikdash gets built, it's going to pop back up again. So why didn't the Rambam say that? So he says, Ein zeh el b'masha kosav sha'atakana. He only paskins like Rabbi Yosi regarding the fact that the takana was after the Churban. But the Tanai that it will pop back up again when it gets built. Nowadays we know we're not going to build the Beis HaMikdash. There's no point in talking about the Tanai because it's not going to happen. That's why the Rambam left it out. I'm sorry. Because nowadays it's not. We know that the halacha is that we're not going to build the Beis HaMikdash before Mashiach. So there's no point in the Rambam saying that when the Beis HaMikdash gets built, the Tanai will come back into effect, and we'll have to bring our pairs to Yerushalayim. Why? Because when the Beis HaMikdash gets built, they're going to be greater Chacham. They're going to be Moshe and Aaron, Eliyahu, Mashiach. They'll bring it back.
Yes.
We don't need the Tanai. Okay, we only needed the T'nai in that short period of history between the Churban and, let's say, and the finishing of the Mishnah, when there was a possibility of building it. Okay, El Shalosh and Hatois V'Yantiv Shebe Pirushay LaHaftorah Parshas Tetzaveh Adayin Tzarachiyun. You still have to know Pshat in Tetzaveh, because there he's going on a Psikta D'Rav Kahana. And Psikta D'Rav Kahana is from the time of the Mishnah. This is his problem. He says, Shapirish B'divrei HaPsikta, the Psikta, which is Psikta D'Rav Kahana, She'amar B'tzuras Abayis Shabi Yechezkel. It says there regarding the description of the Beis Hamikdash in Yechezkel, Hoil v'atem misaskim boy. There's a memor of a Tana there that since you learn it, right? Ki'ilu atem boinim boy. It's as if you built it.
Yeah. So
it says the binyan bayis shlishi. If you learn the description of it in Yechezkel, it's as if you built it. Shalachein loy amar boinim oisoi. It doesn't say boinim oisoi. It says boinim boy, building in it. It doesn't say building it. So the Tosfos Yantu is medayik. He says, why doesn't it say building it? Because if it would say building it, it would sound like building the whole thing. You build in it, which sounds like mashma miktsaseh, some of it. Because some parts of the description in Yechezkel we don't understand. So those parts we won't be considered as if we're building it. When the Pirish came from the Tosfos Yantiv, the fact that he says this B'lashon HaPsikta, he says this as a pshad in the Psikta, which is a Tana from the period of the Tanaim. Mashma shegam oz lo hayu mevinim. It's mashma that even at that time they didn't understand it. Even so early as the Tanaim's period, they already didn't understand it. And he was saying up till now that in the Tanaim's period they did understand it. So it's a kasha. So he says, no, el sha'achar kach kosav she'ein raya midiktuk zeh. The Tosfos Yantiv ends off and says, no, it could be this diak is not a diak. He says, she'amar boinim boy, it says that they build in it, v'ef shashu lashon noifel al lashon. It's just used because it says you're misaskim boy, ki'ilu atem boinim boy. Because we use the word boy in the beginning of the sentence, we're using the word boy in the end of the sentence. But not because it's only some of it, not all of it. Ella af ilu loy nemar. Even if it wouldn't be said in the Medrash, hadin kein misfar. But it's misfar. It makes sense that it should be like that. That we don't know certain parts of the description of Yechezkel. What we don't understand is not considered like we built. It could be that now according to this, that the Tosfos Yantiv is not saying it pshat in the Medrash, so it could be that he's just saying it on his own. Maybe he meant in the later generations, but in the Tanaim's generations, it's taka was they did understand the whole thing. But his that he's saying it on the Psikta, that it's mistaber, that this is the din, and this is a medrash. The Psikta is a medrash, and this drasha is in the Psikta, boy and boy. So it's starchi, and it's a little bit difficult to understand why he would say this, because in the Tanaim's period they still knew the pshat. Now, what's he going to answer on this? He says, "V'ulai, it could be Psikta shehu me'Rav Kahana." The Psikta was really finished after the Tanaim's period. Because Psikta Rav Kahana.
The Kahana was very Namara.
Yeah. So Shahai b'mei Amoraim. Oz kvar paskum milavayar b'zeh. At that point, they already stopped understanding it. After the Mishnah was finished. Shesasmu advarim, because the Mishnah left it unclear. The Mishnah didn't say what's pshat in the Yechezkel. V'loi pirish gam b'mesechta midas. Even in Midas, where the Mishnah goes into it, it doesn't go into the future Beis Hamikdash. It only goes into the by Sheni. Back in the days of the Tanaim, they did understand it. Okay? His lashon in the Haftorah is a little bit difficult, but we still could learn this way. We could explain all these sources the same way, that they're all talking bisman hazeh. But in the old days, they did understand it. Okay? V'tzarech lahavin l'choyre halashon b'medrash. Medrash Rabbah Parshas told us. However, there's a shtickle problem here. He's going to say that the Medrash says that they made a gzeira to build the Beis Hamikdash. What's this gzeira? Gzeira sounds like a bad thing. That's what he's going to say now. The lashon Medrash Rabbah Parshas told us, "B'mei Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya gazra malchus arisha." The evil kingdom sounds like it's a bad thing. Sheibon the Beis Hamikdash. Lama karu es binyan Beis Hamikdash. Why do they stress that it was a bad thing, an exer from the evil kingdom?
You're saying that there was a trick on the Jews to build the Beis Hamikdash? Was it because an evil trick?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's wondering here if it's such a l'chachila de kazach. At the time of the Tanoim, they knew how to build the Beis Hamikdash and they wanted to build it. It was a great thing to build it. So then, why do they say it's a gzeira? They should say the Malchus gave reshus, Baruch Hashem. They gave reshus to build the Beis Hamikdash.
Why were they forced to build it?
Exactly. Why were they forced, and why is the Medrash called a rishus? Anyway, but haloi l'chayra ilu hayu bainim hayadavar toiv v'gadol. It would have been a great thing if they would have built it. Shahari achar kach, and we see from the fact keshabitel es habinyan, when the king decided not to build it, ruatzu Yisrael limroid al yidei zeh. The Jews wanted to rebel against him. Ad shehishtikam Rabbi Yeshua ben Chananya, until Rabbi Yeshua came and stopped them. He said this whole story about the lion, and he said, it's enough for us that we went in peacefully, we came out peacefully. We shouldn't ask for more. Like more extra things. Like he brings the mashal with the lion. The word gzeira usually means bad. Usually doesn't mean something good. That in Medrash Eicha, it tells the famous story, that in the Gemara and Gittin, Daf Nun Vav, there's a story of Yochanan ben Zakkai came outside the walls of Yerushalayim and he had a discussion with Aspasionis. Yeah. And Aspasionis said, "Why didn't you come to me earlier?" Okay. And Yochanan ben Zakkai said, "Because the Biryonim didn't let me." And Aspasionis said, "Oh, you should have destroyed the whole city, or we should destroy the whole city." Not clear what he means, but he's saying when you have a snake that's on a barrel, what do you do? Honey barrel. You break the barrel, you kill the snake. Even if it involves breaking the barrel, it's still worth it to kill the snake. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai didn't answer back. And then the Gemara says that why didn't he answer back? He should have answered back that you take the snake off with a pair of tongs and you leave the honey barrel. So, right? So Rabbi Victor Miller said that the reason why he didn't answer back is, Hashem wanted to show us that really Aspasionis was correct, that there really was no way to get rid of the Biryonim except by destroying Yerushalayim. In any case, but the Medrash Eicha has a different version of the story. Take a look. It says there was a person named Pangar, a prince of an Arab country, and he was there with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai outside the walls of Yerushalayim. She'om Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai lePangar. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said to this Pangar, "Ad deleis at malif sanigoria." He doesn't bring the beginning of the story, but what happened was this Pangar said the taina about the snake and the honey barrel. In the Medrash version of the story, it's Pangar saying it, not Aspasionis saying it. So he's saying basically destroy the Beis Hamikdash to get rid of these Biryonim. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said to him, Ad deleis at malif sanigoria. Not only you're not saying good about us, Jews, at malif alon kategoria, you're saying bad about us. So Amar Le, Pangar said back, L'tevus choin ano boy. I'm really saying it for your own good. The chozman de hadein beis hakayim. As long as the Beis Hamikdash exists, malkavasim misgarin b'choin. The kingdoms are going to fight against you. If the Beis Hamikdash gets destroyed, then the kingdoms aren't going to fight against you. Okay, so I'm doing it for your own good, because it's good for you not to have a Beis Hamikdash now. So Amar le Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Halev yodea im le'eko im le'al kalkalos. Your heart knows if you meant it for good or for bad. You and Sham. Okay, so the chazinim that we see from this al gufa davar, that regarding the actual taina of Pangar, Masha Amar Pangar Shamiz Beis Hamikdash Hi Sakana Yisrael, Neisgaris of Malchius, that having a Beis Hamikdash causes us to be in danger. On that, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai didn't dispute that. He just said maybe you meant it for bad, but the actual fact he didn't dispute. It could be he didn't say it with the good of the Yidden in mind. He was only disagreeing with his kavanah. Why didn't he deny the fact? Why didn't he say, oh, the Beis Hamikdash is a great thing for us? Why are you telling us that it's a danger to us? We say it in the Haggadah that it's a great thing, it's a double and triple, it's a, if you have all the Dayanus all together, it's Toiv Chvulim U'Chapelas.
Yeah, the last one of Hashem a little bit bigger. He's a good thing, so how can we say that we're going to hate us?
Right. The last Dayenu is, he built us the Beis Hamikdash, L'chaper al kol b'nasenu, v'nireh shezeloi ha'yachal ha'shiv loi. So Elamai, it must be that he couldn't answer this. Why? Ki al pi derech ha'teva ho'emes hi kain. This Pangar was correct in the natural scheme of things. Shekol zman shebeis Hamikdash ha'yakayim ha'yamevi kina gedoyla beinu umais. It brought the jealousy of the peoples, v'hisgaras ha'malchias, and the wars. Elashiv Eis Kibbutz Yoshua. When Yoshua conquered Eretz Yisrael, the Kibbutz Ezra HaSofer, and Ezra conquered Shahaya Kol B'Nevuah. Everything was done up in Nevuah then. K'Mevuah B'Ksuvim. V'chein Batei HaMikdashas. And the building of the Beis Hamikdash, the first one, the second one, Hahem Nivnu Al Pi Nevuah. They were all built through Nevuah. V'Yomra HaKasiv HaKol B'Chsav Yad Hashem Malai Hiskil. The David said everything was built from the Nevuah. So when Hashem tells you to build something, then He protects you. Hashem is going to protect them, and the Goyim won't harm them. That the pasuk says Hashem should bless you and keep you. What's the keeping? Someone could give a present to his slave, but he can't protect him that it shouldn't be stolen by somebody, right? You can give it, but somebody could take it away. He's the same one who gives, and He's the same one who protects it. But now it's time for the Churban to happen. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai saw the Churban was coming. They already knew the Beis Hamikdash was going to get destroyed. It's already written in the pasuk b'Daniel that 70 weeks of years. A week is 7 years, right? So 70.
A week is 7 days.
Yeah, but a week of years, like the Shemitah cycle, is 7 years. It's called a Shevuah in Chazal's Lashon. So Shvuayim Shivim, 70 weeks. 70 times 7 is 490. So 490 years Nechtach al Amecha were decreed upon your people v'al ir kodshecha, and on your holy city. So 490 years starting from the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash is the second Beis Hamikdash. Because the first Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there was 70 years Galus, 420 years of the second, so total is 490. Okay? So they knew that the time came to destroy it. Yisrael, since Hashem doesn't want a Beis Hamikdash, He doesn't want the Jews to have a kingdom anymore, He's sakana machmis yisgaras hamalchi. He says it's sakana to have one now. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai didn't answer back, because it was true that he said that once the Beis Hamikdash is not supposed to be here, if you have it, it's going to be a danger for you. He just told Pangar that he's not mechavim for the good of the Jews. That he was talking not mechavim, but the facts he said were true. Now we understand why they say that building the Beis Hamikdash was a gzeira. It was a bad thing. There it was during Galus. We weren't supposed to have it. So if we would have built it then, Terem Bis HaMashiach, it would have caused a great danger. Like this prince Pangar told Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai.
So the Roman Empire wanted to make the world jealous of Jews and hate them for national.
Well, I don't know if they meant that, but when the Chazal saw that if that would have happened, that's what would have resulted from it.
I see.
Now we have a new pshat in his words. He says, it's enough for us that we went in peacefully, we came out peacefully. Meaning that it wouldn't have been peacefully if we would have built it. It says, Ki al yidei shaloi nivne Beis Hamikdash, oz yatzanu b'shalom. That because the Beis Hamikdash is not getting built now, that's why we're going to go out peacefully. But if you build the Beis Hamikdash, then it will not be peaceful. Uke'ein zeh hema divrei Kli Yakar. There's a similar thing that the Kli Yakar says that what Jews do in Galus could arouse the jealousy of the Goyim. Everyone says that Jews build big mansions and they
make movies. They make TV shows.
Whatever they do, if they do something very extravagant, they show off their wealth. It makes the Goyim jealous. So the Kli Yakar already says this a long time ago in Parshas Dvarim. So it says on the pasuk, "Rav lochem soivus harazeh." In Parshas Dvarim it says, "There's enough for you to go around this mountain." Penu lachem tzafayna. Hide yourselves. Penu lachem tzafayna could mean go northward, but it could also mean
face northward.
Right, but it could also mean turn yourselves inward. Safun.
Safun is a lashon of hin because in the north the sun isn't revealed like in the south.
Right, same word. So v'zel l'shayna. This is the Kli Yakar's lashon. Rabim oimrim. Many say ki pasuk zeh. This pasuk in Dvarim is noike v'yored ala tohaim. It pierces and goes down into the depths of our soul. It teaches us a real muster lesson.
What's up? The pasuk we forget.
It says Rav lochem soiv v'sahara zeh penu lochem tzafayna.
Yeah, Rav tzafayna. Yeah.
V'yesh boy remez l'shal l'doyers. This pasuk is a hint to now. To the time of when it was written, but also for nowadays. He says the Inyan Sibuv Zeh, this going around the mountain, Sheyelch v'sechor sechor l'kerem Hashem tzvakos. It means don't go to Eretz Yisrael and build it up again. Don't be a Zionist. Don't make a Medina. Go around the kerem of Hashem, the vineyard of Hashem. Lo yikrevu, don't come close to it. Ki yamim rabim liYisrael. There are many times there's many years, many centuries that the Jewish people will be sheyunaim nadim v'naim. They'll be wandering sevivoy around Eretz Yisrael. V'lo yutan liYisrael koyach aleim. They won't have the power over the Goyim and over Eretz Yisrael. Ad midrach kaf ragel, not even one footstep. Ad sheyaboy mishanem raboy v'yamdu raglo bayoymahu al har hazesim. Until Mashiach comes, or until Hashem comes, really it says Hashem's feet will be on har hazesim. Pasuk in Zechariah. V'chol man sheYisrael holchim sechor sechor. As long as the Jews are going around Eretz Yisrael and they're not getting permission to go back, nemar lahem penu lachem tzafayna. The Navi tells them, Moshe Rabbeinu tells them, turn inwards, turn hidden. V'darshu b'zeh im higia shaito shel Esav. If Esav's time came to be in power, hatzfinu atzmeichem, hide yourselves. V'inin hatzfana zu, this hiding nearly sheim yimatze im yimso isha Yisraeli eza hatzlacha. Zer sham. If a Jew finds some kind of a success in his business, right? A little bit here, a little bit there. Azayat minoi. He should hide that success.
Wow, so Kli even said, don't be like these, Jew who boast their wealth to the guy. And also, it's all true of those, who make these big, filmmakers, of course, but even the Jew who builds a big mansion is not going to Goyim see it. Because building a big mansion, causes jealousy of Goyim.
So Hatzfino Atzmeinu, hide it. So he says V'Hatzfino, he should hide it. Hakol b'fnei Esav, he should hide. Yatminu, they should hide. V'Hatzfinu, Hakol b'fnei Esav. Okay, V'chein Yaakov tziva levanav lama tisra'u. Famous pasuk, Yaakov said to his sons, why you show yourselves as if you're full, when they had grain and everybody else was starving. Rashi says, Pirush Rashi, b'fnei b'nei Yishmael v'Esav, ki'ilu atem sfeim. Why are you showing yourselves to the Yishmaelim and the Esav people as if you're full and satisfied? Ki shneim soivrim sheyitzchak gazal hatzlachas Yishmael v'Yaakov. That they hold, Yishmael was jealous of Yitzchak.
Well, the Zayar show off to God. They build the Iron Dome, always build big weapons, and they have the greatest army, only causing more hatred. They're going to cause God to be angry at them, because they will not tolerate them boasting a stronger army.
That's good. That's a good point. So he says that they think, Yishmael and Esav think that their brothers stole everything. He says Yitzchak Yishmael holds that Yitzchak Gazal,
and Esav holds that Yaakov
Yishmael, V'Yaakov Gazal Hatzlachas Esav.
So right? As long as you boast, they're going to be mad that you saw all our material success.
Through their work. Okay, and that's similar to what anti-Semites say every generation. They always say the Yidden, the Jews all stole all our money. They're taking everything from us.
Hitler said the same thing.
Okay, and Siva Penu Lachem Tzafayna. That's why That's why Moshe said, "Turn yourself inward." That they shouldn't.
I guess because in the north, the sun isn't revealed. In the south, there's less visibility in the north.
They shouldn't be jealous of you. The Kli Yakar ends off and says, "This is the opposite of what the Jews do in his time." Even in his time, they already. In his time,
they were building big and boasting together. They do this and that.
Any Jew who makes 100, who mares atzmai, he goes and shows it off. But malbushe covered with nice clothing, who bought him sfunim and nice houses.
Wait, where is this Kli Yakar?
In Parshas Dvarim, who bought him sfunim and make these covered, overlaid houses, v'chashuvim ki'ilu hay like kama alafim, as if they would be, millionaires. They have a little bit of money, they show themselves off as if they have a lot of money. So the punkt fakir, not only they show what they have, they show what they don't have. He says, they cause the nations to be jealous of them. They transgress this pasuk. This is a minig among our people. Many people. This causes all the troubles that are coming upon us.
Wow.
Those who are smart should take musar from this and not do it. That's the Kli Yakar. The Kli Yakar is saying his testimony that this is what happened. All the bad things that happened to us is hu bishvil hamavakshim gedul v'kavod be'enei hu'umos. It's because Yidden try to show off. V'kol shekain b'binyan beis hamikdash be'es hagalus. Kol shekain in building the beis hamikdash during galus shahai gzeir ra rachmana litzlan. That would have been even worse. That would have made even more jealousy.
That's like already hardcore nationalism.
Kal v'choymer ben menoshel kal v'choymer likach malchus memshala. And even worse, this is just talking about the Beis Hamikdash without a Medina. But to go and build a Medina, a country, that today the Zionists, the Minim, that they think they want to have a.
They show off their successful country.
They don't believe in Mashiach. So besides the fact that they're being over on B'yis HaMashiach, but also they're making people think that they're matzilim, that they're making it safer for Jews, that the Medina makes it safer for Jews. And punkt vakir, it's making it more dangerous. He says, they're
killing Jews in the army. So remember, all those soldiers are Jews, so they're killing them.
Yeah. But this is about the rest of the world too. All the rest of the world is also jealous and angry.
Of course.
But people are blind to this because their heresy blinds the eye. But nigrarim ha'am achreim, and people get nachgeschlepped after them. They get they get drawn after this. Ubavonaseinu aravim sit in the natzach. The Satan is having a victory here. V'chol asher einayim loy liroy so emes. Anybody who has eyes to see the truth. Raya ad kama mahapchim divrei elokim chaim. You see that these Zionists are changing the words of Hashem. V'chol darcheim heim sakana atzum chas v'shalom l'klal Yisrael. All their ways are a tremendous danger. Hashem Yisborach Yirachim V'yoyim L'tzaraseinu die. Hashem should say it's enough. V'yatzilenu mereshes du tamanu, should save us from their net. V'yachish man gulaseinu produce nafsheinu. We should hurry up our real geula. V'rachim v'chasadav with His mercy. Amerubim Yisborach Shmoy La'ad.